Hello everyone, welcome back again to KY24 Project YouTube channel. Today's update is something I'm looking forward, not only because it's the very first Ouji video I will be posting here, but also this is the male counterpart of the Lolita coord set I've made months ago, which is called the Deck of Card Collection. I've been working with few of my delay pending works and finishing few of the personal requested listed before. We hope that you will like this update and let's go on with the project. My pattern work cuts and measures will be updated in the description box below. So if you have a time, please do check them out. But still, here are pictures of the pattern cuts and measurements that we'll be using for this project. You can pause and take notes of these pictures. Before we jump into the actual sewing of the parts for this project, I will need to iron all the pieces before sewing this project. The main reason for doing this step is to simply make the markings and the sewing of the process easier. We will start off by doing the shorts part of the coord set. The lower part of the short for this project is around 35 inches. While the waist measure is around 25 to 26 inches per leg. The lower part of the short is patterned widely, mainly because we will be making a puff knee-length shorts. To start off the process, we will need to gather the lower part of the shorts into 17 inches. You will need to measure your knees to get your own project measures. This measure is rightly fitted for my model, so this will all depend on your personal measures. Now, we will get this 17 inches width and 6 inches length panel cloth. We will fold one side of it by 1 inches and then we will flat stitch it down. Now, get the short piece again and then we will sew it on the edge of the short, right facing each other. I'm sewing 1 inch from the edge of both pieces for this project. Cut the excess cloth if needed. Flip the whole piece inside and then we will fold the panel cloth enough to cover the raw edges of the short piece. Flat stitch the panel cloth in place, completely covering the raw edges of the shorts and the panel cloth. This is just one leg of the short. Iron the piece flat to make sure that the edges of the panel folded part will be smoothed down equally. Do this process in both legs of the shorts. Once we finish the step, we will then lay the short pieces together, right facing each other. That means we're sewing from the insides of the shorts. We will sew one side of the short pattern first. This side will be sewn flat down by 1 inches. After you finish flat stitching this side, you can now sew the other side. The other side will be the side where we will be sewing the zipper on. So, you will need to finish the seam on the crotch before sewing this side together. Also, we will need to sew this side 1.5 inch from the edge. Flip the whole short, and this is how it looks like. Now, we can sew the zipper on to finish the crotch side of the shorts. cut the excess zipper tail when you finish sewing the zipper in place. Now, our zipper is finally attached. This is how it will look like when you finish the zipper. Turn the whole piece inside out, and now we can proceed with our next step. Our next step is simply sewing the bottom part of the shorts. We will start off from one of the sides of the leg of the shorts, going to the other side of the leg of the shorts. I'm sewing almost 2.5 inches for this process. You will need to run this raw edge in the overlock machine to close all the edges in the bottom of the shorts. After this, we will turn it inside out, and then we can work on the waist panel of the shorts. I will not be using elastic for this project, so we will need to gather the waist part to fit the measure of my model. In my case, 25 inches. Start gathering the waist part of your short until you reach the needed measure. Once you finish that, we will get this 6 inches length and 27 inches width cloth panel. My model's measure is 25 inches, but you will need to add 2 inches to this measure for the overlapping closure of the shorts. Fold 1 inch on one side of the panel cloth and then continue to flat stitch it down. Once you finish this, you will need to get your short piece. Then, we can sew this panel on the waist part of the short piece. First off, open the zipper of the short. Since the whole waistband panel will cover the edge of the zipper, you will see that I'm not placing the waistband directly on the same measure of the shorts. You will need to leave at least 2 inches from the edge of the waistband before starting off the shorts. This will be the overlapping band of the shorts. I'm sewing 1 inch from the edge of the short in this process. Once you finish this step, you can cut the tail of the zipper to lessen the bulkiness when we turn it inside out. Now, our next step is folding the waistband panel on the other side and then flat stitching the edge of the panel waist. This is very hard to explain, but you can observe how I do this process. This side I'm sewing will be sewn as close as possible to the edge. Cut the excess cloth and then turn it inside out. Don't forget to poke all the corners of the folded side so you will have a less bulky turnover corner. Do the same on the other side, but this time we will need to sew 2 inches away from the edge of the zipper line. This will be the overlapping part of the panel waist. Then, we can flat stitch the raw edges of the waistband. I will start off from the other side, slowly running the panel to cover all the raw edges until I reach the end of the panel side. And then we can finally say that the short is complete. Now, it's time to make the top bodice. Our first step will be sewing the interfacing on the neck part of the top bodice. The interfacing I'm using for this project is already overlocked and done before this step. Sew the interfacing in place and then cut all the excess cloth inside to avoid and to lessen the bulkiness when we turn it inside out. Now, turn the interfacing inside out. Once it was already flat down, you can then proceed to flat stitch all the sides down. Do this step with the front and the back bodice. You will need to get your front bodice, which is already cut in the middle. Then, we will measure our taxings. I will still follow my standard taxing measures for this project, which is around 4 inches from the middle. Once your taxing are already marked down, you can continue to sew the taxing in place. When the taxings are done, you will need to flat iron the taxing down to create that smooth and flat front surface. Now, we can sew the front and back bodies together. Sew each side of the bodice together by 1 inch from the edge. Once the whole bodies are sewn down, you can then run all the raw edges inside the bodice in the overlock machine. You will also need to run the front body center cut into the overlock machine. Then, continue to flat stitch the center cut piece. It's time for us to make the front panel design. Just like what we did in the Lolita coord before, we will sew this big panel design. But this time, we will do the inside out process. Unlike the Lolita one, these front details for the Ouji won't need to hold too much tension. And with that reason, we can do the normal turn it inside out process. Sew all the sides of the cut pattern and then turn it inside out. Don't forget to poke all the corners of the panel, especially the peak point of the design. Once done with that step, you will need to iron the whole panel design flat. Lay your top bodice flat and then get your panel design. You will need to measure how much it will fit the front bodice. Once you are happy with the measures and the position of the panel design, you can fold all the excess cloth and then flat stitch it down. Before we attach the front panel design, we will need to finish the raw edges of the bodice first. Run the raw parts of the bodice in the overlock machine and then proceed to fold and flat stitch them down. Then, you can try to place the front panel design on top of the bodice. I will need to note that this design are overlapping, so I really did my best to place the front panel design in the middle part of the bodice, where it will still look equal when I open one side of the bodice. Pin the panel design in place. Once you're satisfied with your placement, you can then now flat stitch it directly onto the bodice. We will only sew one side of the panel bodice down, since the other side will be opening of the whole top bodice. Our next step will be finishing the armhole of the top bodice. I simply run the raw edges on the overlock machine, and then I continue to fold it by 1 inch and then flat stitching it down. I finished the whole top bodice off by adding silver buttons on the panel design. The right side button are all fully functional buttons, so this will be the opening of the top bodice. I certainly had so much fun working with this project, and I'm so content to finally finish this blog update. It took me long months before finishing the process, but I'm really happy about the result of this project. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you have requests or suggestions, please do comment down below. And if you're still not part of the family, don't forget to click subscribe. And see you all guys next week. Goodbye!